¿Estás grabando ese fondo, Goncho, o lo sacaste de YouTube? No, es la vista de mi ventana. Mirá. Básicamente. De Stanley Parable. ¿Qué es esto?
¿Lo jugaste, Gon?
Y bueno, vamos con este. Ahí va, inicia partida, a ver.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
A ver, esta es
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
427,
427.
buenísimo.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427
una oficina
and he pushed buttons
tristísima,
on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Okay.
And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
A ver, Stanley.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
¿Qué pasó?
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
Enganchó a la novia con uno.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say,
No,
"Hi."
era feriado,
Never
Stanley.
in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation.
Caíste en feriado,
Something
maestro.
was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
A ver. ¿Qué onda, loco? Mati, ¿qué onda?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Fueron toda la
What
mierda.
did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
A ver. Están todos... No creo que esté en una entrevista. Stanley, mira, estás un quilombo, boludo. Está todo abierto. I hate Mondays. Odio los lunes. Y sí, obvio, si trabajas acá adentro, yo también odiaré los lunes. ¿Cómo que no? A ver, la sala de
When
reuniones.
Stanley came to a set of two
Se me
open
cerró la
doors,
puerta.
he entered the door on his left.
De la izquierda, ok. 12, esta no tiene número. Ok. Hola, sala de reuniones,
Yet
chicos.
there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
A ver.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
Y
hoping
bueno.
he might find an answer there.
¿Cómo resolver una disputa con un compañero? Ah, mierda, te tira la mala. Sigamos. ¿Listo?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here,
No hay nada
so he
acá.
turned around and got back on track.
Bueno, está bien, flaco. Pará, déjame investigar un poco, hermano.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked
Subimos.
upstairs to his boss's
Acá no
office.
es. Las escaleras. Ah, bueno, sacalo, el jefe sí o sí. No se rompe un ascensor acá. Hola. Qué raro no esté la secretaria. Siempre me
Stepping
rompe
into his
ah,
manager's
bueno,
office,
permiso.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Y acá tenemos una.
Shocked,
Listo.
unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from
Que
him?
ningún secreto,
What he
flaco,
could
es
not have
feriado.
known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him.
Ok.
And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
Ah, ya te lo
But
dice.
of course, Stanley couldn't
Okay.
possibly have known this.
Bueno, pero ya me lo dijiste, así que.
Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random
Okay.
buttons on the keypad,
¿Qué pasó?
Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
¿Qué
He stepped
carajo?
into the newly opened passageway.
What the fuck, boludo. Es el señor Burns el que trabaja acá. Permiso, hola. Eso, oh, estamos en vértigo. Y bueno, tomo el ascensor, flaco. A ver. Cargando.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
¿Ah, sí?
It was a stirring of emotion
Sí, tengo
in
un
his
remolino
chest,
de emociones
as though
en
he
el
felt
pecho.
more free to
Y
think
me
for
siento libre de
himself,
pensar por mí
to
mismo.
question the
De
nature of
cuestionar
his job.
la naturaleza de
Why
mi
did he feel
trabajo.
this now,
Eso es lo
when
que me
for
pasa
years
ahora.
it had never occurred to him?
Es la primera vez que me pasa.
This question
Después de
would
años de
not go
trabajar.
unanswered for long.
Pero bueno, vamos a ver si puedo resolver esto. A A ver.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
mierda.
Facility.
¿Escape o Mind Control Facility? Y yo la verdad que llegué hasta acá, la verdad que tengo ganas de saber qué onda, loco. Escape, mis pelotas. Se me cerró la puerta atrás. Perfecto. Ahora quiero que controle la mente, loco.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
la
screens.
mierda, se viene un...
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Prendeme... Poneme el partido.
Find out.
En todos tiene que estar la final de la Argentina-Francia. Acá trabajan algunos, mira qué privilegiados que son, ¿eh? Y ahora... las cámaras de seguridad. No. Yo era él. ¿Cuál era yo? ¿423 era? Qué turbio. No hay nadie igual.
And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Mierda, boludo. 600 empleados que estábamos trabajando en Microsoft, boludo. ¿Y eso?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Pero flaco, acá.
Stanley really been under
Bien, son las cámaras, por la duda.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
No, pará. Stanley, quédate tranquilo.
No. He refused
sigamos
to believe it.
investigando.
He couldn't accept it. His own life
ese se murió.
in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it?
A mí no me controla nadie, loco. Yo soy Stanley. Yo soy un fucking termo. A mí no me controla nadie.
Utterly blind to the world. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content.
Prende, loco.
Eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
Activate power
And as the
sensor.
cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
No, esto debe ser mierda, loco.
Would dismantle the controls once and for all.
2. Tengo que romper todo. Voy a romper todo, boludo. A mí no me va a controlar nadie, loco. A mí no me va a controlar nadie. La concha bien de tu madre. Acá me tengo que... Acá sí. Acá voy a romper todo. Olvídate. Acá los voy a hacer mierda. Lo voy a prender para poder apagarlo
When at
después.
last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his
Tengo que romper
obligation,
esta verga.
to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Voy a prender.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the
Y la verdad que me gusta, es un trabajo
After
seguro.
they kept you enslaved all these years,
Y
you
pero
go
es un
and you
trabajo
try to take
estable.
control of the machine for
Narrador.
yourself. Is that what you wanted?
Sí.
Control?
Sí, eso quiero. Es un trabajo estable, le puedo llevar plata a mi familia y lo puedo suministrar de activos. Aparte puedo pagarlo cuando quiero. No puedo pagarlo. ¿Y por qué supone que te va a hacerle caso a un narrador de repente?
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Pará, yo quería hacer algo bueno para la gente.
Say,
para vos, Gon. Te quiero mucho.
No, pará.
now this is making things a little
Ay,
more
me
fun,
cagué.
isn't it,
No,
Stanley?
¿qué?
It's your time to
2
shine.
minutos.
You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a
Concha de
shame
madre.
we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you.
¡Pará de hablar porque me va a explotar todo!
What all this means.
Aparte, ¿vos qué te cambia?
I barely know where to start.
¿Quién sos vos? ¿Por qué te interesa que se rompa todo de
You'd like to
repente?
know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace.
¡Ay, se abrió la
before you're
puerta!
obliterated.
¡Tim! No voy a llegar.
I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway.
¿Por
I'll tell you
qué?
exactly what
Estás de buen
happened.
humor porque me voy a morir.
I erased them.
Garca.
I turned off the machine. I set you free.
4.
Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story.
El 5, el 5, el 5, el 5, el 5, el 5.
I simply let
Está
you
ya, ¿no?
sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons
Un minuto.
endlessly and then dying alone.
¡Para de hablar!
Other times,
No me quiero
I let
morir.
the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside.
5,
or I let it
listo.
burn to a crisp.
Ah, bueno.
I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
Me morí.
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even
Eso es lo que es
better.
mentira, no me voy a morir.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock.
Gracias.
These are precious
Para, vos controlás el
additional
reloj.
seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Vos me controlás el tiempo. No, como
Oh,
incorrecto.
dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
No,
Or did you
botón
just
azul.
assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it on?
Sí,
I
obvio.
mean, look at you.
Eso es rojo.
Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
Hijo de puta.
These numbered buttons.
Ahí está,
No,
¿cómo
these
incorrecto?
colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything. Something here will save me. Why would you think that,
13 segundos.
Stanley? That this
Si vos
video
controlás el
game
tiempo,
could
ganás
be
tiempo, hijo de puta.
one solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place
5
is?
segundos, me voy a morir. Gente, muchas gracias a todos por bancar. Ha sido un gusto.
You're in for quite a disappointment.
Gracias por todo.
But here's a spoiler for you.
Hijos de puta. Un minuto.
That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your
Ahí
death.
está.
You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
¿Por qué estás divirtiéndote con mi muerte, hijo de remil puta?
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world.
No quiero
that's
controlar el
fine.
mundo, idiota. Me confundí de
I'm going to
botón.
destroy it
Porro.
first, so you can't. Take a look
Goodbye,
at the clock,
employee
Stanley.
427. Anda a
That's
cagar.
30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30
está
seconds
pasando,
until
man?
a big boom and then nothing. No
O sea que vas a
ending.
explotar todo
Just
por
you
mí.
being
Nada más que para matarme a mí vas a explotar
Will
todo,
you cling
idiota.
desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully?
De verdad.
Another choice. Make it count.
¿Te parece que vale la pena matarme a mí y explotar todo? Boludo. Todo lo que tardaste en armar esto. Estúpido. ¡Ah! Hijo de puta. Oh. Hola.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Carajo.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok. Perfecto. Voy por la derecha
When
ahora.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Bueno,
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah, ok. Hola.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
Ajá.
It had really been worth the detour after all, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
¿Acabas de oír? No, mira. Vos me mataste, forro. ¿Qué te pensás que te iba a seguir los
Stanley was
pasos?
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Anda a
I realize that
cagar.
investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you.
No voy a hacerte
all
caso
this
ahora.
time. There's someone you've
Anda a
been
cagar.
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
Voy a hacer lo que quiera.
I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for... This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside.
Que mame.
To let her back into your life. She's
¿Esto?
been waiting.
¿Eh?
That's her,
No,
Stanley.
¿quién es?
You need to be the one to...
¿Amor? No, no era eso. Ok. ¿Eh?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go.
Amor.
All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your...
¿Qué?
Gotcha. Oh, come on.
Hijo de puta.
Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Sí.
Who want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley.
Sí,
I'm
yo
trying to
diría
get
que
you to
sí.
see something. Come inside. Let me show you
¿Y
what's
vos a
really
quién
going
tenés?
on here.
¿Y vos a quién tenés? Yo me la cojo
This
igual
is
a
a
esta,
very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
No, ¿qué muerte?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Pará, flaco. No voy a tocar eso. Ahora voy a hacer lo que quiera.
One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this
Bueno,
life.
ahora me quiero ir de esta vida. Ya está. No quiero tocar la Y. No me hagas más esto.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new
¡Vení a
lands.
pelear!
It was wonderful. And each day that he
Tenés huevo, vení a
returned to
pelear.
work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
No quiero ver televisión.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
No, se está armando la
First, he imagined
oficina.
that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Ok.
As he wandered through this fantasy world,
Paren de
he
armarme la
began to fill it with many
oficina.
possible paths and
Hijos de
destinations.
puta.
Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls.
No quiero decirle nada, no tengo esposa. Déjame salir, dale. Ya está.
You see? Can he just not hear me?
Bueno, dale, déjame
Tell him
salir.
in a way that
No me
he'll
hinchas las
understand
bolas.
that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Abrime la
Perhaps-
puerta,
well, maybe
charlatán.
this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Oh, ¿qué pasó? Ok, listo, perfecto. Vamos a donde vos
All of
me
his
digas.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Vamos a
Stanley
donde me
decided
digas,
to go to the
tranquilo.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content. Bien, pero no tengo ganas de entrar.
Oh, new
Y
content?
sí,
What does that mean, new content?
y si me mandás por acá, pues tengo que ir por donde me digas vos, ¿no, flaco?
When Stanley came to a set
No,
of two
no.
open doors,
Era por ahí.
he entered the door on his left.
Ok. No, voy a hacer lo que me diga, porque el chabón este me voló loco si no. Ok.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
vamos.
hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ahora se abrió esto. ¡Ay, re turbio! Ah, hay un ascensor disponible. ¿Me dejas o no me dejas? Y bueno. Sí. Che, ¿viste cómo fue la temperatura? Qué loco el clima, Cada vez hace más calor. ¿Te parece? Ah, bueno, perfecto. Llegamos al jefe.
Stepping into his manager's office,
sí.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Dale.
Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let
¡No
the
para de
narrator
hablar!
talk.
¡No para de hablar!
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy.
Pero no
so
para de
he
hablar.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming new
No.
age music.
Bueno, ok. Estoy un poco más tranquilo igual.
And rejuvenated,
Ahora sí.
Stanley calmly
Muchas
walked
gracias.
forward into the opened passageway.
Vamos, ahora sí. Con el ascensor. Como siempre. Seguimos. Vamos.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Me quiero escapar, pero no confío en que sea un escape, realmente. Voy a hacer lo que me diga. Estoy domado. Me vine volviendo como loco.
The
Dame
lights
luces.
rose on an enormous room packed with television
Sí, ya
screens.
sabemos, dale.
What?
Y vamos.
No. He refused to believe it.
No acepto,
He
loco.
couldn't accept it.
Voy a apagar
His
todo.
own life
Fue.
in someone else's control? Never. It was
Never.
unthinkable.
Nunca.
Wasn't it? Was it
Hijos de
even
puta.
possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
A ver.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content.
Hay una que me pusieron ahora.
Working,
Estoy re enojado.
all of it monitored and commanded from this
Dale,
very
lo voy a
place.
apagar.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery...
Oh, listo, basta, mentira. Voy a aparecer de nuevo en la misma oficina.
blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
No. Mentira.
Yes. He had won.
¿Gané?
He had defeated the machine. Unshackled
no confío
himself
en
from
vos,
someone
forro.
else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this
¿Lo gané?
strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber,
Si
he
lo gané,
realized
quiero
none
jugar de
of
nuevo
this
y ver
mattered
todo
to
lo que
him.
me faltó.
For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal
tipo
had not
Matrix
been
de
to
juego.
understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives,
Pero no me dejes
it
acá,
will
maestro.
be his.
Estás cagado, boludo.
And that was all he needed to know.
No me
It
dejes
was
acá, hijo de
perhaps
puta.
the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool
Ahí
breeze
está.
upon his skin.
Qué
The
lindo.
feeling of liberation. The immense possibility of the new path before him.
Sí.
This was exactly
Es la luz
the
del
way,
día.
right now,
Hace cuánto no la
that
veía.
things were meant to
No
happen.
puedo creerlo.
And Stanley was happy.
Me duelen los ojos. No.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Concha de
room.
tu madre.
Perhaps he had
4:20.
simply
Un
missed
porrito
a
acá.
memo.
Bob. Es Bob Marley. Bob. New content.
Oh,
Sí.
new content.
Quiero contenido nuevo.
What does that mean? New
No
content.
sé, explícame vos. Uy, ¿a dónde vamos?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Concha de tu madre.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with
Muy
the
bien.
Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe,
Perfecto.
a reimagining of the game for
Estamos viendo el
consoles
chivo.
and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Qué bueno.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra
Es
Deluxe.
cosa de Disney. A ver,
Oh, well,
llegamos.
this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Bueno, vamos. Bueno, vamos juntos, narrador.
Okay,
¿Estamos
so
juntos en
far,
esto?
an elevator.
Narrador, somos amigos
Special
ahora.
yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
No funga.
Is it broken?
Hacelo laburar,
What's
loco.
going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go.
Ahí está.
All right, finally,
Te negré.
at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Dale, estamos emocionados los dos, narrador. Somos amigos. ¿De qué lado? ¿Izquierda o derecha?
I have to say,
Izquierda o
initial
derecha?
impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's
Bueno,
as
yo
if
estoy tranquilo.
Oh, okay. Let's see the
Ahora
content.
sí,
Give me
llegamos.
the content, Stanley.
Dame contenido, Goncho. Ole.
All right, let's see. It's
Círculo del salto.
Jump
1,
circle.
2, 3, 4, 5. Voy a hacer 20, 30 y pico de saltos. Bien, listo. New content jump circle. Ah, buenísimo. Seguimos. Ok.
is that it? if you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try
No.
to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills,
Soy amigo tuyo,
no gimmicks.
forro.
Just you and me having a great time together like always.
No, ninguna
What do you
great
say,
time.
friend?
No. ¿Y qué tengo que hacer? No, no. Ah, ojo. Ah, no sé. Pero para, cambió igual. ¿Estás? Juan. Juan.
Psst. Stanley.
No.
Come over here.
No.
In the vent.
No.
I want to show you something.
Vamos a ver.
You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Ah, me boqueas encima, o sea que te voy a romper la
No,
cabeza.
never mind. You're not a dog.
Ah, ole. Ajá. Bueno, listo, entonces voy por acá entonces, si no soy enterado. Cabió. No. No. Vamos por otro lado a ver qué onda.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be.
Para
But it got
vos,
me
para mí
thinking
estuvo
about
buenísimo.
the past and how much better the Stanley Parable
Habla por
used
vos.
to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it.
¿Eh?
Just our little secret. Take
What
a
the
look.
fuck?
I call it the...
I love this place. Such good memories. The memory zone. Oh, yes.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was
Sí.
before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched?
Qué lindo.
Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Muy bueno. Bueno, volvamos, dale. Bueno, me vuelvo.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Ok.
What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Acá nos roban,
What's this? What's down here?
Acá cuando nos critica, me parece,
God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam.
No,
the
acá nos
online
bardean,
video game
seguro.
distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
No, amigo.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Prefiero que no,
Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't
No,
they?
y no creo, amigo, no, porque no las pagaste estas. ¿Te acordás?
Honestly, I could
Uy,
not
uy,
be
uy.
bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious
Y el
and
banco.
unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining.
Tiene razón,
Funny. I'm not trying
Y
to
si
be
no te haces un
funny.
chiste, haces una
I'm
banda,
trying to make a
flaco.
serious work of art.
10 horas se jugó.
You constantly have to stop doing anything
Pajero.
so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Lo peor que te pueden decir,
A
maestro.
skip button.
A mí nunca me quieren esquipear,
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then...
Pero hacelo con
then
él.
maybe
Yo no
letting
dije
you skip
nada.
ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews.
Yo no
from
dije
the
nada. Aparte, el chabón jugó 10 horas, es un
positive
pelotudo.
Reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes,
Bueno.
a skip button we shall have.
Pero pará, hacelo con él. Yo no hice nada. No, yo no lo quiero tocar. Yo estoy bien así. Estoy obligado a tocarlo, parece. No lo quiero tocar.
Until so
chao.
much more than...
Y sí, boludo.
Oh, you're back, you see? Choice in...
Pame la verga.
Well, there, sport.
Sí.
You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Sí.
But that's the power of the button. Absorption.
Cerrá el orto.
Okay, welcome back getting longer, but there... Oh,
Chao.
Stanley, you're back. You're back.
No.
Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
¿Una semana?
Or 2 weeks.
Nah, no es nada. No es suficiente. Ya no se ve nada.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome.
¿Y las
I
luces?
have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've
Me
been...
chupa un huevo. No te cansás. Se recontrapudrió. Cayó un piedrazo acá. Nos vamos. ¡Uah! Todavía no puedo escapar, así que... ¡Ah! Ya de repente. ¡No! Sacame de acá, amiguito. Ah, no. Se repicó. El botón. Está retorcido esto. Salimos. No sé si conviene salir, Creo que conviene adelantar el mundo todavía. ¿Ya no puedo? Y supongo que no, ¿no? ¿Qué hice? Rompí todo. ¡Libertad! ¿A dónde iré? El sol quema. Estoy en Qatar, sí. Ok, bueno, volvimos. Hola.
All of his co-workers were gone.
New content, ok.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Sí, más contenido. Hay más contenido.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy.
Okay.
So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever
Hola.
the Stanley Parable 2.
Yeah. The end is never the end again. Okay.
Yes, you see, isn't this
Investor
far
showcase.
superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of
Vamos.
all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different
bueno.
directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Ahora sí. Abrime.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
A ver.
I
Perón,
figure
Perón.
that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally
esto, flaco.
spring up
A ver,
around
vamos a hacer la
them.
fila.
It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Ok.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
¿A dónde vamos? Vamos por acá. Hola. Ah, mierda. Free new más easy achievement. Ok. I can't believe it's that simple. Get here. Ok. Yo quiero un
Now,
achievement.
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
A ver.
Yes. You see, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the
Ah,
achievement is still fully broken. I'm not
Ah.
a wizard, Stanley.
Dale, hijo
But
de
I
puta.
guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the
Aquel
hordes
no
of
había un
ravenous
achievement
fans all
gratis.
over the world who have been uproariously demanding
puta.
this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Hijo de puta. Dámelo y listo.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we
A
seen
ver,
yet?
cosas nuevas. Please, no screenshots, ok. No voy a sacar screenshots, pero dame el achievement.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version,
Get
the
well
office
someday,
could use a bit
happy.
of decoration, like balloons.
Okay.
But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday
Yo te ayudo a
and
elegir.
Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Get well someday.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all
cagar,
along.
Gil de mierda.
Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it
Merchandising,
is.
God.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Bueno, chao.
Oh, goodness,
Nah.
Stanley, this is very awkward.
Nah.
I hate to do this,
Dale.
before you leave, you really should go to both the exhibits for the bucket
No
and the
quiero.
collectibles. You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves both of them. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the collectibles and the bucket, okay?
Dale, dale.
All right, I'll get out of your head. No? You're just going to ignore
Sí.
my advice? Fine. No fun new content for you, then. You're the one who spent money on this game. Wait. Maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly
Por
work?
favor, déjame irme.
I suppose it
Te lo
could,
pido, por
but it
favor.
would need a really,
Déjame ir.
really tremendous title
Te lo ruego.
screen. A title
te
screen that
cambies
says
nada
with
que me vaya.
bold and uncompromising conviction,
Déjame
this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect.
No te cambia nada.
Go ahead. Take a look.
Ok, bien. De Stanley Parable 2. Flaco, ¿qué es esto?
This is the story of a man named...
Ok, terminó. Ah, no, es el 2.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
Lo
mean?
mismo.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Mira, yo me fui por abajo, Gil. Un auto.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
gana irme
He
del
might be
auto.
fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he
What?
was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no
What the
reason
fuck?
at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Ay, amigo, qué traga
For
esa, es
example,
un loop.
why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Es un
And for
juego.
that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty
son
familiar.
iguales.
Were they simply repeating?
Sí,
No,
es un loop.
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! And Stanley marveled that he had still not
Basta!
broken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question
No, no
of them
puedo
all
más, eh.
entered Stanley's
Finalizó mi paciencia
One,
este
he was
juego.
amazed he hadn't asked himself
No quiero
sooner.
escuchar más de chabón.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my
Basta!
thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be?
¿Hace cuánto estoy jugando
Was
ya?
Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now, gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over.
Es
Let me go back to my
una
job.
charla con Main.
Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
Por favor.
I am...
Finalizó mi paciencia. Acá finaliza el video y el juego. Basta.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I'm real. I
Basta.
must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Es una locura.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Ojo.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Ojo.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man.
Bien.
He was obviously crazy. This much
Sí,
she
ese soy
knew.
yo en este momento, chicos.
Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day.
Pará de
The
mirar,
very important
morbosa.
people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
No, el que grabó esto está loco igual, Ok. Gracias por todo. Otro día jugaré otro final. Basta. No quiero escuchar más de tipo. Es impresionante lo agobiante que fue. Le puse mucha onda y estuvo divertido. Pero no.
Despacito, oh, despacito, oh, despacito, oh, oh.